are doing this incredible.
Well, there's a myriad of things. I think, first of all, we have to go back to...
You're a writer. You are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you.
Miss Nigeria competition.
I said, let's pick them up, let's take them back to Nigeria, and let's teach them a different kind of job.
Okay, if you're just joining us, you're right on time. And I have seated with me the princess of the land somewhere in Ado-Ekiti, a woman who is well vested with a whole lot of things. She's an actress, she's an educationist, she's a mother, she's a philanthropist. But please permit me as I simply introduce her as Princess Badewa Williams. You're welcome.
Thank you for having me.
Okay. I started by reading off some of the things I know about you. I'm sure there are a whole lot of other things we'll get to unfold in the course of the program. But I'm particularly interested. When we say actress, a lot of people will think, okay, it's Nollywood. But I know you were with Hollywood at the time. Can you share that experience with us?
Definitely. I moved to Los Angeles, actually from Jacksonville, Alabama, in 1985. I had initially studied film acting, drama, and English from Jacksonville. Then I moved to California to pursue my acting career. In California, I did a lot of stage acting predominantly because it was quite difficult for Africans to break into the film industry at that time. However, with the exposure to theater, I was eventually getting called to audition for film projects, and I did a couple of film projects while I was in Hollywood.
All right, so it was a bit difficult for Africans to break through, but you did it. Can you share the particular experience that threw you into it perfectly?
It was persistence. You just have to be persistent, because when you keep going, you will definitely achieve something. When I started out, they were always relegating me to roles of maids. They say you should just audition as a maid. And I wasn't going to be a maid. I wanted to break through as a breakthrough actress. So I fought that to an extent. And that was why I started directing myself, in productions.
Oh, you were directing
I was directing as well. So what also happened was a lot of us Nigerians in the industry at that time, we decided to just get ourselves together and just focus on productions, on us. A challenge we had was auditioning for American films. They would say, if you go to audition as an African, they were telling me that I didn't sound African. And on the other hand, they would hire Americans who were not Africans. So it's like, who really is the true African here? And then when we tried auditioning as Americans, they would still say, oh, your name is Badewa, where is that from? You are not an American, and that became hindrances. And at that point, I actually was using a pseudonym to act. But when I saw that they were trying to suppress my identity, I refused. I put on my resume that my name is Badewa Adejugbe. At that time, I wasn't married. So we got ourselves together and started putting productions together for ourselves to just depict our culture. And eventually that caught on. And I'm happy to say that now Africans are doing very well in Hollywood. Okay. But we broke the doors down.
That's good. That's good. I know that a lot of us have moved from the Nollywood to the Hollywood, and you're doing so well. Maybe with time, so you could get to have a feel of that again. But I know that back to Nigeria, you have an attachment with the Abuja Film Village. Yes. What exactly are you doing? Are you producing?
Actually, I was brought back to Nigeria by the Abuja Film Village International Limited. My MD, Mr. Shegun Yekunle, he and I were in Hollywood together. We were actually at UCLA together. And we were about to produce I was about to produce a script that he had written. We had put together all the technical crew, trying to put the financing together to produce this film. It's very, very, it's one of those films that will just make a lot of money once it's made. But, he came to Nigeria to meet the then Honorable Minister of FCT, Dr. Modibo, who presented him the job, who gave him the job as managing director. And Dr. Modibo told him to go and get his staff together, recruit whoever he needs to make sure it runs, and he came to me. So here I am as the general manager for the Abuja Film Village International Limited.
All right. I know again that you're doing well. Congratulations. Sometimes I move around the environment and I'm pleased with what I see. But then, before you moved down to Nigeria, other things happened to you. I know you
Definitely.
went to school back again to study education. Having been in Hollywood, for such a long time, one would be wondering, what else is she looking for? You went back and moved completely off your terrain, off your arena, and went to study education. What sparked up that?
Motherhood.
Motherhood?
Yes,
Oh,
we may have plans for our lives, but things tend to happen. At that time, I had a production company called TKI Productions, and then I started another one called Ladama Pictures Incorporated, just to focus on films.
all of that was in
Because
the
I had
US?
children in the U.S.
Okay.
And while my children were growing, especially my twins actually, I noticed that they were having some impediments, learning impediments. They were developmentally delayed. They were not speaking as others were. They had a difficult time understanding lessons. They were not comprehending. And it was just difficult. So I had them assessed, and it was determined they had a developmental disability called mental retardation at that time. And that just took me, took me aback. I was in shock for a very long time. I was in denial. I wasn't going to accept it. So I started going with them to the schools to observe them in school. Then I actually realized that they were struggling. So we had to place them in a different kind of setting. And upon doing further research in trying to see how I could help my children, I just automatically enrolled in school. And I started learning about education, especially special education. And I found myself becoming an educator. So that was how my life changed. I had one vision, but then they took me in the other direction. And of course, as Africans, we try to excel, wherever it is we are. So while I was teaching, I wanted to be the best I could be. So I kept furthering and furthering my education in that
Until you got
capacity
to the
until I
doctorate.
became a doctor in education.
Education, that's interesting. Now, you having gone to read this, to help your children, did it really make much of impact? Just out of curiosity, no?
It made tremendous impact.
Okay.
And that's actually why I'm back in a capacity focusing on education as well now. Because while I was in the classrooms, the children were actually achieving the students I was teaching. Even till today, some still contact me. Parents contact me to say thank you. You have to really have empathy in the classroom, and especially when you are dealing with children with diverse neurological disorders, you must be able to relate that. And as a mother, I took that part of me into the classroom. So I became not just a teacher, I became their advocate. I became their crusader. I was speaking for them and teaching them how to speak for themselves, teaching them how to think for themselves. And they were steadily improving. And this was actually evident in the standardized assessments. My students actually made more gains academically within the space of their levels as opposed to other children in the school. So there was definite evidence that they were improving.
That's interesting. Coming from the acting world to the education world, very interesting. If you can do it, then I definitely can do it.
And there's also a correlation too. I took acting into the classroom.
Oh, really?
I became practically an actress while teaching, because there's a methodology called total physical response where you must actually act it out. So we were doing a lot of acting out in class.
I know when things are translated into drama, it's easier to understand.
Definitely.
Yeah, okay. Now, back to Nigeria. Someone told me you started something for people who are challenged, young people who are challenged, more like a school too.
Yes.
And it's absolutely free. I haven't been able to, share that views with you, more like a philanthropy stuff.
Actually, yes, I'll take that back. It's not completely free because they must pay for some therapeutic activities.
Okay.
It's a learning center. It's not a conventional school. All the academics, of course, are definitely free. But the children have diverse needs that cannot just be dealt with just with academics. They need educational therapy. Some of them need physiotherapy, speech and language therapy. Some of them need occupational therapy. We do all kinds of therapeutic activities to assist them. And we're also doing a lot of advocacy. talking to the community and doing a lot of free stuff, seminars, trainings of teachers and parents and caregivers on how to deal with these children, because they need to be empowered. They need to be included in society. We're calling for absolute total inclusion. They can make contributions to the world, so we need to let them. So that's what my foundation is all about, giving them the access.
Is that right? Well, I'm going to move with you to look at this foundation and what you're doing. But before I do that, I'm going to try to find out, you're a princess, I mean, was it that easy for a princess, at the time you did, to go into the Hollywood? How did your parents take it? I mean, eventually, when you had challenges with the kids, how did your family take it?
Okay. Well, when I first moved when I moved to the U.S., I told my parents I wasn't going to study theater, because they were like, no, you cannot study theater. You must be a lawyer. You are so smart and this and that. We don't want you on stage, even though I was always on stage while growing up. So I compromised. I studied English and theater. So I had double majors. So I satisfied them and I satisfied me. And when they saw, they were always reading about me in the newspaper in Nigeria, because some journalists would come to California or to the U.S. generally, and they heard about me, would interview me, so they were reading about me. So they were impressed. So they let me be, And then with my children, I'm very lucky to have a family that just embraces everyone. When I was growing up, our house was not just our house, it was everybody's house. So we're always used to seeing different people. So my children had challenges. They were just encouraging me as to what to do and how to help them. They accepted my children. They're just like anybody else, And that's the whole thing about us in my family. We accept people for who they are, and we welcome them.
That's how it should be. All right, thank you. For now, I told you we will be moving to the Learning Center to get to find out her typical day at work, what it looks like, and how she works with these challenged children. But before we do that, let's take a bit of a break.
Nature also gives you the economic importance of the trees. We are talking of job and wealth creation.
Okay, welcome back. I have actually relocated, but this time right at the center, the Royal Learning place for the children who are a little bit challenged, but who are great potentials here in Nigeria and even from outside Nigeria. And of course, we are having this done under the auspices of the Princess Badewa Williams. And she's here right with me. You're welcome again.
Thank you very much.
Like your shade of yellow.
Thank you.
Right. Color. Okay, it's a great place. I looked from outside and was quite impressed.
Thank you very much.
I've seen a bit of the children too, but I'm wondering, it's not easy to actually run a place like this. What does it take?
It takes patience. It takes dedication. You must really have a willing heart. Otherwise, you can't do it. You must be open-minded. You must be willing to think outside the box, try the impossible, and be hopeful. You must have faith. That's what it really takes. With all those things, and with your hard work, you'll start seeing results in the children.
Now, what are the greatest challenges you face with these children? I mean, is it that easy for parents to just come in and enroll their children here?
We even have waiting lists of parents who want their children here, but we don't have space.
Okay, waiting list?
Yes, we have so many children. And adults, we don't just cater to children, we cater to adults as well, Their needs are very personalized. Each child is different. There's need for assistive technology. Our program is online, is blended learning, some online, some with teachers. We have therapists in and out every single day working with them, from speech to occupational to physio. There are also some other specializations we need that we don't have, just because we don't have the means. But beyond that, the children are fantastic.
Okay. Now, on daily basis, I know you studied this in the US and you're a practical teacher, so to speak.
Yeah.
Now, how do you, when you have the very difficult ones, because I know when I went to, I think St. Vincent, somewhere in the East, you know, some of them just didn't want to come into the classroom. How do you handle it?
Well, you know, our teachers and our therapists are very patient. So they just really talk to them. They talk to the children. You know, it's amazing. Sometimes we think they don't understand. They do understand. And they can read some body languages. Of course, each disability is different. We don't really have children who don't want to come. The only instance is maybe something happened in the car. Maybe somebody spoke to them in a way they didn't want. So of course, when they get here, they make that connection that it's coming here that brought about that negative interaction. However, once they come in here, they're happy. They see their teachers, they see their therapists, they see their friends, and they mill around, they socialize with each other. So it's not really the children not wanting to come. They've always wanted to come.
I'd like to know, how has it been? I mean, turning out the students so far. You've run for a little while now. What are the progress you've been able to record, the success you've been able to record?
We've had such amazing progress. We launched 2016, but we opened officially January 2017 with only 6 students. Before the end of that term, we had about 20. Right now, we have about 55 people benefiting from our project here. We've received, people just tell us within months that their children, what they notice in the children right away is the self-esteem. They feel better about themselves, they carry themselves better, they speak better, they respond better, because this is a very low anxiety environment. There's no yelling, there's no even raising your voice on a child, there's no spanking. So the ambience is very soothing. Even the colors were chosen for reasons because they have calming effects. So the children have low anxiety when they're here, and parents are able to see that. And academically, we've assessed some children. I have to assess everybody on intake because we need to have a baseline to determine if there's a significant cognitive disability or not. Then we know what their level is once they enter. Then we reassess them again. After 6 months, all the children that I reassessed have improved tremendously, to the point that some parents were even like, that's not possible. Then they came at conferences and they challenged the children in front of the teachers to either write something or say something, and the children responded.
And these were people that could not write? Or
I had people who were so pessimistic in the beginning. Parents were like, oh, we'll just give it a try, just because. And now they're like, Dr. Williams, thank you. So the children are making progress. You know, each one is different, definitely.
What is your key, a tool or methodology for these people? I mean, I've been here for a while and they're so calm. Even when the teachers are talking to them, they're so calm. What's the key tool you use?
I think it's the educational therapy aspect of it. There are not that many educational therapists in the world, so less of in Nigeria. I'm actually the only one I know of who is in Nigeria. We all belong to an association, and I'm the only one here. Educational therapy is different from being a teacher. It looks at the child holistically. Even in the classroom, teachers are supposed to look at each child holistically. You know, we look at their strengths, and we now look at the areas of challenges or areas of needs, and we see how can we use the strengths to compensate for the challenge. So we now develop treatment plans for each child. Each child's plan is different. There's some common things everyone has to do, like the music therapy, the yoga therapy, the cognitive development therapy, the neuro movement therapy. We do all these things just to strengthen their brain, to make them calmer, to really help them with their focus and their attention. And after that, each one has its own different program it goes into or undertakes. We have like 3 or 4 adults in every classroom. The biggest classroom, we have 8 students in it. So you can imagine it's almost one-on-one. And it's hands-on.
Can we move to the classroom? Let me just have a look.
Absolutely.
All right, look forward to that. Let's do that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Let's move to the classroom.
So this is the cheetah class. They're the older students. They're working on some academics right now. But everything they study has to do with real life situations, either careers, vocational skills, or life skills. Right now, they read an article about connecting through cooking. So they'll read about it at different levels, and after reading about it, they'll practicalize it. They'll now go in the kitchen and actually cook something. So they'll be independent one day. They'll have to take care of themselves, so they'll need to know how to cook. So that's one of the lessons. So all our lessons are based on real life situations that they will encounter, so that they can learn about it now.
Learn to take care of themselves.
Exactly.
Nice to meet you.
We had a birthday party yesterday. It was fantastic.
Really? It was your birthday party?
Yeah.
You didn't invite me.
Because we are not around now.
Oh, okay. I'm gonna snap you for your birthday. I'm gonna keep it with your mommy. Okay?
Alright.
Do we say cheese?
Cheese.
Alright, beautiful.
Look at it. It's beautiful.
Thank you.
It's a happy birthday.
Thank you.
Why are you covering your face? You don't want to be on TV? Emma is our...
Okay, he's in charge of a dance.
Yes, he likes to dance and he likes to rap. He likes music.
Can you rap something for me? Okay, rap it.
I know I can be what I wanna be. If I work at it, I'll be where I wanna be.
Be. And the does it on the attitude. That's all. Okay. Thank you.
I know I can be I work hard, I'll be where I wanna be.
Alright. She'll eventually be an actress, I can guarantee you that.
She is good.
Right? And you too. Right? And she is learning to make hair. And she's doing a fantastic job.
You make my hair.
So it's a hair cap and then you put it on there. You know what? I don't know how to weave it very well.
But the hair cap.
The cap?
Yeah.
Okay, like this one. This is the cap.
She made one already.
Oh, that's
She
good.
made one already.
That's not some inside there.
Okay, may I pass?
Okay, that's good.
Thank you. Thank you. May I pass?
Alright. So what are you going to do for me?
Is an artist.
Talk now.
Yeah? Tell how are you going to do?
You can draw. Okay, I'm going to sit down and draw for me.
She's processing. Alright. And he is also working on his visual processing skills, while at the same time working on his fine motor skills, and also everything is also about color directions. Okay? He's matching, looking, discriminating between shapes. As you can tell, they have different colors. And what he's working on has no color specific. So he should be able to look at each shape and figure out exactly where it goes on this sheet of paper. And he'll match it to it. So he chose the processing skills. So that's how they develop processing skills in real life. But should I go into that door? Is that for females or for males? You know, being able to discriminate between information. That's what they're working on.
Somebody's doing their job.
Now, yes. She's not a student. She's a teaching assistant. As you can tell, our program here is not really academic based for this classroom. So they are learning how to make things that eventually can become livelihood. We had an exhibition that showed some of the things that these children create. So it starts out like this, the teacher shows them, and they themselves have to now start. They see the pattern, and they start putting the different shapes together. And we laminate or we frame it, and it becomes a piece of art.
And they'll have so much pride.
Yes, that's the thing. We had our exhibition, almost everything sold. People bought them all.
That's beautiful.
And our young man here, because he has ability to learn. You know, he's really working on his letters, sounds, identification, and he's starting to read. And beyond reading, he can now match, which is also to help with spelling. Okay, so those are the things he's been working on. And it's one of our biggest progress stories. It's improving on that.
I see you matching a bit of the arms, the backs.
Yes.
Okay, what's your name, sir?
What's your name?
What's your name?
Jane. All right. Nice to meet you.
It's a beautiful job. Well, as you can see, it's a beautiful world out here. people are challenged and a whole lot is produced. I'm particularly glad to be part of this environment. Thank you so much, Princess. Thank you for doing a wonderful job. Let's keep it up. All right, the woman ends here for now. Do join us again for another exciting moment some other time. Bye.
Doctors or that are not married and they are doing this incredible.
Well, there's a myriad of things. So I think first of all we have to go back to writer. You are very well known for your teaching skills. Your students speak a whole lot about you.
Miss Nigeria competition.
I said, let's pick them up, let's take them back to Nigeria and let's teach them a different kind of job.